Welcome to Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Giff.
Well, Pete's excited tonight.
He is.
Why wouldn't I be?
So,
It's another episode of Pop Culture Yearbook.
we keep forgetting because, you record these things ahead of time and, you lose track of things. But we've been playing this promo at the beginning of our episodes here for the whole month, and we haven't really explained it. So we thought we should throw that in there. Made a little partnership with this podcast called The Mixtape. And I've listened to a few of their episodes so far, and I like a lot of what they do. I think if you like our show, you'd probably like their show, because I think there's a lot of similarities. Mm-hmm. And so they reached out to us, and we were happy to play their promo. And we always kind of thought we should have a promo, too, and we never had one. So now we made one, and hopefully they're going to play it for us. And hopefully we'll each find some new listeners through it. But check out the Mixtape. They make mixtapes out of different topics of things. But especially focusing on 80s and 90s quite a bit. But one of the ones I listened to had Jacob Sleester, the drummer from Semisonic on. So that was pretty cool because we love Semisonic. So they get guests and they have a good time and they're a good listen. So that's why we're playing them, and you might want to go check them out.
Can I also add one thing?
No.
I think to the listeners out there, if you're short on time and you want to hear me and Gifford and Brad, just listen to our trailer. Go online and listen to our trailer. It's 1 minute
4
long.
seconds of
Just go listen to it 80 times in a row and
bump the numbers up.
Boost our numbers just a little bit.
We put a lot of work into it, so we would appreciate it.
More than we'd like to admit.
Yeah, it was fun though. We had a lot of fun recording it.
Or just use it to send to, we keep saying, tell a friend about our show. If you like our show, if you're still listening, tell somebody. And this is a great way. You could just send that little link and say, hey, check this show out.
Yeah. And if they tell 2 friends, if everybody tells 2 friends.
Now it's a Ponzi scheme.
Then it's like a Ponzi scheme. That's exactly what I was going to say.
But a good one.
Or it's like Amway. Remember Amway?
I do.
Everyone used to do that. Oh my God.
My brother did a long distance calling one of those and got me almost sucked into it in college. Thank God I didn't do it.
We've all had moments where we've almost been sucked in.
My brother's always looking for schemes and scams, and even he was into one of those for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. You expect more from him, wouldn't you?
I would.
I would.
Come on, Todd.
I hope he's not listening.
He probably isn't. All right.
He
well,
might hear about us from the Mixtape promo. So
from the pyramid scheme, he's going to hear about our show and be inspired to listen to this one episode where we take a cut at him.
So check out the Mixtape. Check out other independent podcasts. We all work hard on doing these things, and it's nice to know people listen to us.
Yeah, it is.
Giff.
And we don't do it for the money. We just do it to.
Well, there is no money,
listeners.
so
right.
It's
a good thing that we don't do it.
And
it
goes
money.
Together that way.
That's right.
That's good. It costs money. Hey, but by the way, since you brought that up, if anybody's looking to help us out, we do still have our Buy Me a Coffee. We haven't really pushed it for a long time, but it's there. And if anybody would like to support us here in season 3, we would greatly appreciate that. And we'll probably get you on the show too if you're interested.
Yeah. Even just a little bit. Like if all you can give is $1,000, we'll take that.
Yeah. Okay,
we'll take every little
just
bit.
Throw that little note in there because it came up organically.
Yes, it did. Glad that came up organically.
Gifford, what are we doing tonight?
That was organic.
We are talking about our last subject of 07 here, and that is the movie Superbad. Little flick that came out August 13th. Had a $19 million budget, raked in $170 million at the box office. So
wow. Only 19 million.
Yeah, pretty low. Well, and part of that might be what I'll get to in a little bit here, but we usually talk about our memories of first time seeing it. I don't have a memory of the first time seeing this movie. I'm guessing I did not go to it in the theater. As I said on a previous episode, I had a pretty young child at this point, didn't have a whole lot of time to sit in a movie theater, but I'm guessing I would have rented it and watched it that way. So, but I just really enjoyed. I like these types of movies where it's high school or college, little fun adventures, and yeah, so that's why I picked it.
I do remember watching it, and it really ties in with what we talked about last week. So I believe it was back-to-back weeks where I went, and I didn't go to movies in the Southdale Edina movie theater very often, but I saw The Simpsons there. We talked about that last week. And then I don't remember which one was first, probably that one, I think, if we looked at the dates. But I saw this movie there too. And I guess I thought Pete was probably there, but he doesn't think he was.
I don't think I was.
Might have been a different group. I'm sure our friend
as you
Dave
just said,
has been on the show, has been there. But there was a lot of hype about this movie. I was excited to go see it. This, like you said, it's kind of a renaissance of these movies here. I mean, not just necessarily teen ones like this, but like Anchorman, Wedding Crashers, 40-Year-Old Virgin, they'd all come out within the couple of years before this. And so these kind of comedies and then the whole Judd Apatow, like Empire, was really taken off.
Right.
So I was really excited to see it. And I know I went to it with a group in the movie theater, and we had some drinks after, and it was a fun night. And Pete wasn't there.
Yeah, it was a fun night, despite that Pete wasn't there. I think I feel like I rented this by myself and just watched it. I don't remember going out and seeing it. I could be wrong. Maybe I was there. But I don't have any great grand memories of watching it. I know,
but also to tie this entire month together. So I saw The Simpsons and this movie like back-to-back weeks. When I put in, I have a DVD of this movie, and when I put it in the other night to watch it, guess what preview was on right off the bat? To tie it into this month.
Walk Hard.
Bring them all together. Walk Hard was the preview at the beginning of this DVD. So that was exciting to see. Might have been my favorite part of the viewing, actually.
Oh boy!
Here we go.
We may have dissenting opinions tonight. This is gonna be awesome.
No, it's not that bad. I'm not gonna be as into it as you guys probably were.
All right. Fair enough.
So,
the only guy who went to spend his hard-earned money in a movie theater to see it.
Well, and I liked it. Like, when I went that night, I liked it a lot. I remember laughing my ass off and like, this was great and blah, blah, and everything. I mean, there's a couple parts that stood out that maybe I thought were kind of not that great. I do have like one very specific complaint about this movie that I don't like so much.
Okay.
And I think I even thought it that night. But overall, I still loved it when I saw it. But just spoiler alert, I really don't find it very funny anymore. And I know it's probably going to piss off people, and they're going to think I'm stupid. But of all the we're going to go through 2000s comedies after this, and it's not even on my list. There's so many good ones that this one
there's a ton of great ones.
Doesn't even crack my list.
Yeah.
You're not afraid of what the people think, though.
I'm not afraid. I'm going to
your opinion.
In fact, you know what? I'm over it. I'm just going to rip it all to pieces through the whole night. I'm just going to take.
Oh man, I think that will attract listeners. Actually,
sure,
probably would.
So
people like to hear the meltdowns.
Yeah. This movie was written by Seth Rogen and his writing partner Evan Goldberg, and it's loosely based on their time in growing up and particularly their senior year of high school. They wanted to play the main characters. But because of obviously age, they were too old at this point. But that is why the main characters in this movie are called Seth and Evan. It was inspired by such movies as Dazed and Confused, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and American Graffiti. And one of the reasons this may have been a low budget at the time is because for both Michael Cera and Jonah Hill, this is their first movie. Their first leading role in a movie. They had been in other things, different TV shows and of that, stuff, but this was their first leading role.
Yeah, Sarah was definitely a pretty big name. So he wasn't in other movies, huh?
He was in other movies, but not as the lead.
I suppose. But between Arrested Development and, I mean, he was great. So. And
then also Christopher Mintz-Plasse, or however you say.
I always say Plasse, but I don't know what's
Plasse. This is his first movie ever.
Yeah.
And for Emma Stone, it's her first movie. She had other credits to her name, but she'd never been in a movie before.
Oh, really?
So that might have been why the budget was as low as it was. And of course, I'm sure that with Seth Rogen being a writer, he, probably didn't take a huge amount to be in his own movie.
Well, and I wonder how much of the
Don't
budget
forget
went
Bill
into
Hader.
the promotion then, because like I said, I remember there being tons of hype for this movie. Like it was advertised big time.
Sure.
And you'd feel like it would be more, not a big budget movie, but just more than that, I guess. But I don't know.
This would have been like just before Bill Hader's heyday too, right? Like,
well, he was on SNL.
He was on SNL.
Already on SNL,
yeah.
But okay.
And he'd been in other things with Apatow and Rogan and things of that nature. He was in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
He was?
But this, I'm pretty sure when I was looking through, I thought he was in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Well, a lot of them were. So
You're right.
I just don't remember him being in it.
But this movie is the one that really kind of turned me on to him. I was, I didn't watch a ton of SNL when he was on. But I thought he was just so great in this movie. I really enjoyed. In fact,
great in everything.
I
love him.
My favorite plot line of this whole movie is between the cops and McLovin. I mean,
that's funny.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the part. Okay, well, forget it.
Brad is not having fun.
Oh, well, no, I just think the movie is about the kids, and I enjoy that. And I mean, I just feel personally, and you said they wanted to be in it because it's about them, but they're too old. So I feel like they took this cop part and forced it into the movie, and most of the cop part is completely unnecessary, and it feels more like vanity to me. Like, I have to be in this movie. We have to have these parts in this movie. I don't feel it's necessary, and personally, I think a lot of the Apatow movies go on way too long, and whatever, you can do that if you want. But I feel like if you cut that storyline out, it's a better movie. And I will state, I love Bill Hader, and he's great in this, like he is in everything. So it's nothing against him, or even Seth Rogen, who I like in most things too. But that is my number one problem with the movie, is that portion of it doesn't seem to fit. It feels like they put it in because, they wanted to.
Right.
Which you can do.
That's your opinion. That's all good to go. My end of it is it's more about kind of like in Dazed and Confused, where you've got who's the young kid? What's his name again? Who's like brought in with the old kids, and it's just such a great night for him.
Oh,
yeah. It's kind of the same thing here.
They're all part of the same. They're all high school kids. They're all part of. You have the older ones and the younger ones. It's clearly set up that way. I also feel like, okay, I'll just get this out because we're on it. Most of the stuff with the cops is just so unrealistic that it's not even funny, because they're so bumbling and dumb that it's like over the line of what's funny. Like, there's no way they would act that way. There's just none. And they try to like tie it together at the end by saying, you remind of us, but it just doesn't work for me. So there we go.
All right, let me dig out of this pile of shit that Brad just dumped on the subject for tonight. Okay.
No. Hey, the movie is still fine.
Right. I can tell.
I'm going to play both sides.
Well, if you guys don't have any stuff for the beginning, like production or anything like that, I think I'm just going to jump into my synopsis that I have here. I'll buzz through this. Please have some patience. I'll just read it, and then we'll get into your favorite or least favorite parts of the movie following.
I have favorite parts listed. I'm prepared.
All right. So
just
here we
none
go.
of the cops.
No, actually, there aren't.
Well, good. We'll get it all covered here. This movie centers around two intersecting plot lines. The main one involves Seth and Evan. These two have been best friends forever and are facing uncertainty as their senior year ends and they head off to college separately. Their minds are also occupied by girls. Evan thinks a lot about his crush, Becca. He's oblivious to the fact that she really likes him because he lacks the confidence to see it. Seth, on the other hand, is really only interested in punching his V card with whichever girl will have him. The other plot point involves Fogel, an almost unbelievably scrawny and awkward lad who somehow still brims with joy and optimism. He tells Seth and Evan that he's about to acquire a fake ID. Seth and Evan use this opportunity to persuade Fogel to buy them booze for a party that Jules is throwing. Jules has become Seth's target of desire, and he believes that being the supplier of alcohol for her party will ingratiate him into her drunken pants. Evan sees the opportunity as a way to do a favor for Becca. Neither of them are planning on giving Fogel any credit in this venture, by the way. Fogel reveals his fake ID to the boys. Not only has he claimed to be 25 on this license, he's also changed his name to just McLovin.
From Hawaii.
A Hawaiian organ donor. 25-year-old Hawaiian organ donor.
The fellas are less than impressed with his choices, but Fogel is sure it will work. The first hiccup in their plan comes when Seth's car has been towed for parking illegally in the staff lot. He can't go home before the party to change without his car, or his parents will find out. So he needs to find something in Evan's dad's closet to wear for the evening. They don't have transportation for booze or themselves, so they'll have to take the bus. They meet up with Fogel and head to a liquor store. It's after some hesitation by Fogel and threats from Seth, McLovin takes the money and the list into the store to buy the alcohol. He makes his selections and heads to the counter, exuding as much confidence as he can muster. The cashier accepts his ID as real and rings him up. Just as he relaxes, bam! He's sucker punched by a robber and left bloody on the floor. In the meantime, Seth and Evan have been distracted by some nice boobs and run off to check them out, as boys are wont to do. When they come back to the liquor store, there's a police cruiser out front. They believe Fogel has been busted and is going to jail. Seth is ready to bail and is freaking out when a car backs into him. Seth demands booze or money for compensation, or he's telling the cops the guy ran over him. The guy convinces them to come with him to a party that has lots of alcohol. Seth figures they'll go steal a bunch of booze, head to Jules' party, so he'll be her knight in shining armor, well deserving of the many sexual favors that she now owes him. Once there, things continue to go awry with some dirty dancing, forced singing, and fighting. However, Seth is able to steal a bunch of beer in laundry detergent containers. While all this is going on, McLovin is now being questioned by officers Slater and Michaels. They may be the worst cops on the force, but I think they're the best cops ever. They take a liking to McLovin and offer to give him a ride. McLovin is hesitant at first, still just trying to get out of this situation and off to the party with his bounty of booze. He soon becomes one of the guys after stopping a runaway drunk at a bar. After sharing some beers, they are called to break up a house party, the same party that Evan and Seth have just escaped. Seth and Evan are fighting about how Evan is abandoning Seth and how Seth is a lazy screw-up. Evan pushes Seth, who is hit by the police car that McLovin is in. Slater and Michaels, freaked out by having McLovin witness them hit a kid, try to convince him that it was the kid's fault and sign an affidavit to that effect. When the boys all see each other, they escape from the cops with all the booze and head to the party. They arrive to a hero's welcome. Jules is happy that Seth came through with the alcohol. He proceeds to get hammered while toasting himself as the most popular guy of the moment. Becca is already drunk and looking to get busy with Evan. He's having moral concerns about having sex with a drunk girl while he himself is sober. He excuses himself to a bathroom to try and catch up. McLovin finds the object of his desire, Nicola, and with his big dick energy, proceeds to dance with her. Not being the brightest knife in the drawer and believing he's this older guy from Hawaii named McLovin, she wants to head upstairs for some whoopee. A now intoxicated Evan is convinced to go upstairs with Becca because she has to tell him a secret. Once in the bedroom...
There were air quotes there, by the way.
Yes. Once in the bedroom, he does his best to fight off her and his urges to save her drunken virtue. Their rendezvous ends with Becca puking on the bed. A smashed Seth puts the moves on a sober Jules. He feels like an idiot, but she does her best to console him. She, for reasons escaping logic, seems to like him. He promptly passes out and headbutts her in the eye. Officers Slater and Michaels arrive to break up the party. They bust in on McLovin getting busy with Nicola. They tell McLovin they were hurt when he ran away, and the truth comes out about Fogel's age and name. To pay Fogel back for cock-blocking him, they drag him from the party, giving him instant street cred. The three of them finish the evening by burning the cop car to cover up the damage that they did to it. Seth was able to summon the strength to carry a passed out Evan away from the party and the cops. The two head back to Evan's, make up, and sleep off the alcohol. The next day, they head to the mall to buy Evan a comforter for college. They run into Becca and Jules. Becca's looking for a comforter to replace the one she threw up on at Jules' party. Jules is looking for concealer for her black eye she got from Seth. The boys awkwardly decide to split up to help the girls.
There you go.
Nice, very nice ending.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, these two boys, Seth and Evan, are completely codependent on each other for pretty much everything. That's kind of the gist
and
of
that's
this.
what I like about it, because
Mhm.
that's the part you can relate to, and that's the point of the movie, is the high school kids.
Mhm.
And they're planning on going to college together. They're like, we're going to go to college and continue to be codependent. But then, of course, Seth gets accepted at what was the college?
Dartmouth.
Dartmouth, yes. And the other one doesn't. And so that creates a bit of a rift between the two eventually in the movie, a kind of a falling out.
Yeah, and again, you go through that with your friends, and that's really well done. The whole fighting and hiding things and feeling awkward, and so again, like I said, to me, that's the movie, and that's the better movie if you focus on that all the way through. So I like that a lot.
Well, the one thing too is that they tied it together at the end, because the whole movie, Seth is intending to tell Becca his feelings for her, and that's his move, right? He's not like trying to take advantage of her. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting my characters mixed up.
That's good.
But he wants to tell her just what his true feelings are, because he doesn't want to take advantage of her. He wants this to be a real thing and everything. But in the end, as they're having their little sleepover, he expresses how he truly feels about his best friend, right? And so it kind of ties together that way. And I think that that's sort of, kind of where they were going with that, how he wanted to express his feelings. Maybe it was towards his friend and not as much towards Becca. He wanted to be able to be honest with his friend.
Sure.
Yeah.
The one thing I really don't like about this movie is the character of Seth. He is the most despicable,
yes,
selfish pile of crap that there is. And so for me, like, this whole tension between them is that, they're not going to college together because Seth is a stupid, lazy pile of crap. And his friend Evan actually applies himself and gets into a good school. And Seth's mad at Evan for not coming down to his level and going to just a state school.
I actually wrote that exact thing down. When he starts to turn on Evan and he turns into a prick towards him, I said, he's just so unlikable.
Yes.
And, this movie is lauded for a lot of its dialogue and being witty, one of those. And I think the opening conversation is pretty good. I couldn't write down any lines because it's just too filthy.
It's about porn,
but it's still pretty realistic and well done for two kids. Like I could relate to that, and I like that. But there's parts where, like Seth is just so unlikable, and it's just. And I told my friend Adam I was going to watch this movie, and he loved it, and he said, "Well, I actually texted him and said, this movie's not funny anymore." And he goes, "Yeah, it's just." And he likes it, but he wrote, "Yeah, it's just Jonah Hill yelling for 2 hours," and it does get to be a lot. He is just so yelly. It's just intense.
So yelly.
Let it go.
He's complaining and whining a lot.
I know.
While at the same time then, acting like he's the coolest guy in school. Like when he's talking to Jules and brings up that he can get alcohol, and she's like, "Hey, could you get alcohol? If you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours." And his line, of course, is, "That's weird because my back is on my dick." That's like he thinks funny, that's like gonna ingratiate him to her. Like,
right? It's stupid to say to her.
It's so dumb. Yeah, he's just such an idiot all the time. I mean, he's got some great parts in it. Like one of my favorite things is when he goes to see Evan in gym class and they're playing soccer, and he as he's running away, he kicks the soccer ball into the stands because he's just such a jerk.
But we all know people like that, though. It's a real guy. It's a real character.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's somebody like that at every school and in college. There's always people like that.
So one of these guys
that's
in like
too.
one of these guys that's in all these movies. He's in I Love You, Man. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Is Joe Latruglio.
Yes.
And I wrote down Jonah Hill
Francis.
is so annoying in this movie. And when he hits him with the car, it's like you feel good.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. Oh, good. He hit him with his car.
He gets hit twice by a car, and you cheer when he gets hit twice.
It's like, shut up.
Yes. Right. Because he's yelling at Evan because Evan's prepared to have, he brought a condom with him, for tonight, just in case. Too. But then Evans, Seth is mad at him for being prepared. Like, what do you, why, it's just, if anybody is ahead of him or able to do something he can't do, it's like they're stupid and that's a dumb idea. And so, he's just such an unlikable character.
Well, there you go. We may not agree on the cops, but we do agree on that one right there.
Yeah, for sure. Faux show.
Let's talk about Evan then.
Evan's great.
Evan's outstanding. He does awkward.
Michael Cera is great in every.
Yeah, pretty much.
Another one.
He does awkward so well. Like
he always plays the role that I can relate to the most.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Especially at that age.
Yep. Yeah, he's quiet. But when he says something, it's very funny. He's like you say, Seth or Jonah Hill's character is always very loud, whereas you contrast that with Michael Cera, who's speaking his lines almost under his breath, but what comes out is just hilarious all the time. It's just the best.
He's always got that just perfect, like, little hesitation before he says anything.
Right.
And it's just like he's not confident in himself, but he should be, because he says and does all the right things, but he's just not sure of himself, and that's what makes it funny.
And he's got excellent physical comedy as well. Like when the kids are in home ec class, and Seth, of course, is standing behind Jules, like making all these grinding motions and like hip thrusts and everything. And Evan's partner is this little guy. I think he's a foreign exchange student. And he covers the kid's eyes because that would be too much for the foreign exchange student to see. To me, that's just a hilarious move that he's trying to protect this innocent soul from seeing what his best friend is doing. So, yeah, it's absolutely great.
All right, now let's talk about McLovin.
So, how do you come up with the name? First off, that's a perfect name.
Well, okay. Yeah, okay. It's iconic. Everybody knows it. It's because it's so memorable, because it's in the movie. But like, it's just another thing. Like, I feel it's kind of stupid. Like who would do that? Who would put one name? Not even like James McLovin. Like, it's just so weird and out there that everybody remembers. It's great. It's funny. I don't know. I also find it stupid at the same time.
But see, it tickles me so much. I absolutely love it. But then you pair it with this like anorexic looking kid. Like, it's the juxtaposition of the two that make it even better yet, I mean, if it was like some big football stud like Jock and his name was McLovin, like that wouldn't be as funny, but
that's why it is funny.
Right. And it's just awesome. So
it just underscores that he's a teenager and doesn't know what he's doing, and is just
that's
happy
true.
to get.
He really does have no clue, so that's a good point.
But that goes back to my point that he's always optimistic. He's always joyful. He's always like, when he's following the Nicola girl down the hallway, admiring her whale tail coming out of her pants, and he's just staring. And then she turns around and notices him. And in his panic, he just, tells her, the time. And then when he's telling it to the guys, he's like, I told her what time it was. Like, it's just, he's just.
Just randomly. It's 10:33 a.m.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, so McLovin is his personality. Like, that's who he aspires to be. And that's what I like about his storyline, is that throughout the night, he goes from being Fogel to truly being McLovin.
Yeah, and I do. I love him, and I love his evolution throughout the movie, and it's great. He's and being with the cops, he makes that part better because he's forced to be in that part. But I'd rather see him maybe get there a different way.
Okay.
With his friends,
Sure. I think he needed that separation from his friends to truly bloom into.
Well, and
Well,
then
it was
it
because-
could happen without these idiot cops too. There's other ways, but whatever.
I mean, it had to be that way because you had these two kids that were best friends, and there was this outcast one that they really didn't like, and he
Ooh, that
wasn't
sounds
really a
familiar
friend.
to our high school days.
Yeah, we're not
Wow.
going to name names. We'll talk about it, Brad, after Gifford hangs up. Anyway.
Oh, go ahead.
But I was just going to say, so that's why I think they had him kind of go off separate, and he had a more wild
No,
ride.
I totally get
than
that.
the other two. Yeah,
I agree. Because the two needed to be together to go through their whole relationship drama and everything.
right.
So yeah, I get it. I get it. Whatever. I've made my point about the cops.
So
Cops
speaking
aren't
of,
going to go sit and openly drink in a bar and be served and get. I mean, it's just none of it's realistic. It's not even funny. Comedy has that realism in it. It's just their whole storyline is so dumb.
so the
that's-
part where
They're
Michael's
shooting
asked
the
for,
signs with their guns out in the middle of public. It's just
They're doing shitties in the parking lot.
that too.
can I get 13 beers to go? You didn't like that line?
No,
See,
I didn't like that line at all,
I
'cause-
thought that
because they're
was
not
funny.
gonna get
I thought it
served.
was funny.
Why
I thought-
13? Why would it be a 12 pack? Like you could just it's 13 beers. Like
It
To me,
sounds
it's-
like a big number. It's a
Right.
funny number.
It's a
Try
funny
to-
note.
I'll try to not say anything more about the cops because I think we've covered everything that
Good.
came up with that now.
no, I got a
I'm
few
gonna-
more
But again,
things.
I will say I love Bill Hader. He's hilarious, and it's not his fault.
I got a couple other things, like when they're, like Brad says, shooting at the side and they're having beers out on the street, and then like all these cops get called to the house party and they hear the sirens coming. They go, "Shit, the cops!"
Oh no, it's the cops. They open
Yeah,
it up.
that's funny. That's a good line right there.
But did you guys? I'm assuming all three of you realize speaking of high school friends of ours, the Greeble scene of the movie when Evan gets up off the street and runs away, and Seth Rogen tries to run him down and can't because he's a freak. He's the fastest kid alive. Like that's Josh Greeble running
Okay.
away,
So,
like
yes,
because he's so fast.
that is one of our friends from high school, and I had forgotten about that quality of his, and you've just unlocked a memory.
He's freakishly fast, and he would run
You were the
with his
one.
hands like in his pockets of his coat, and he would outrun people. Like he wouldn't even be pumping his arms. He was a freak.
And
He's
that
the
is
fastest
the
kid
thing
alive.
that this movie does so well is all these little, archetypes, these characters, they are people you can think of from your past and relate to them. But the cops, you can't.
You can't.
You can't relate to them.
Oh
I
my
just can't.
God.
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna edit out every single thing Brad says about the cops.
No, because somebody out
Because-
there's going to be pissed, and they're gonna
Hey,
be more intrigued, and somebody's going to be totally with me too.
we
thought the
we
cops
we
were
speak
very
our
funny.
minds here. We speak our truth and our.
Yeah, and we don't get into very much disagreement either. So I think
No.
it's good to have this one.
That's why I was
This
excited
is-
when you.
This is a debate,
Yes.
and I'm on Gifford's side on this entire argument because I love the movie and I especially love the cops part. I thought it was one of the funnier parts of the movie.
Well, and when
So
they
there.
when they bust up the party at the end, and there's that scene where Bill Hader is standing in the living room like dancing to the music, and he's got like a beer,
Yeah, of
and he's
course.
just I mean it's funny because it's out of place.
It's funny.
It's not the way it's supposed to be. Cops
Yeah.
aren't supposed to be.
And
like
obviously, people will laugh at that, and that's fine.
Brad cannot detach himself from reality enough to just enjoy a
I've
goddamn movie.
never seen the movie, but I'm assuming Brad hates it. Let's Be Cops. Never saw it.
No, I've
But I'm
never
guessing-
seen that either.
Guessing Brad.
But I
would
think
be-
the title of that movie kind of gives away what you're going into with that one.
okay. Whereas
Who's in
Super
that?
Bad,
I don't even remember.
the cops are super bad. Like the title of the movie is.
No, Let's Be Cops. Who's in that movie?
The guy from two of the guys from The New Girl, I think.
Oh, Jake Johnson.
Jake Johnson, yeah, and I think Wayans Jr. possibly.
Okay. Yeah, didn't see that one. Never.
No,
will.
I missed out on that one. We will be bringing that one up in a future episode of Pop Culture Yearbook.
So if we're talking about parts we liked and scenes, I will
Yes.
say that I did find the part where Evan is forced to sing in front. I mean, it's kind of an out of place scene again, but Michael Cera's so good at it. I find that scene to be mildly funny, and I was looking for something that was making me laugh at that point of the movie. So, like, okay, I guess this is my favorite part so far.
To the listener, I can see Brad. He was rolling his eyes as he was saying that.
But like, I do, and in that scene, Martin Starr is in there too from Freaks and Geeks, which I like. But my favorite scenes are at the end, and I love when they go shopping and they're trying on pants and they're making up. And the line where he says it looks like a division sign with his pants and his groin is funny. But then when they split up at the very end, and it's like they can't split up, like you brought up how codependent they are, and like they don't know what to do. And I thought that was just great. And the ending of the movie is so well done and really kind of wraps it up nicely and redeems parts that I didn't like about it. And it makes me wish, this is the movie here. This is the part. This is what I wanted, and that's why I love the ending of the movie. And those are my favorite scenes.
Right, where Seth is not being so awful, and when they're looking longingly at each other as Seth goes down the escalator, they really don't know. Like it's almost like you're waiting for one of them to start moving towards the other
and I can relate to that too.
So connected, But.
Did you have other scenes that we were going to bring up, or?
Yeah, I got a one in particular that I really enjoyed. It was the scene at the party at the end where with Evan and Becca up in the bedroom, and he's like fighting her off, and she's climbing all over him.
This has my favorite line in the movie.
I'll let you go ahead and say it. I'm assuming we have the same one written down.
Well, she whispers, "I'm so wet," and he says, and of course, it's just the way he delivers it too. He says, "They said that would happen," and then he pauses. "In health."
Yes. And he just tells her like you're so neat. Like, he's just saying all these
that's a great scene too, because of he just makes that scene.
Right.
And you respect him too, because he's trying to be so nice.
He's trying to be respectful, and he's just not ready,
right.
And so that's part of you always talk big when you're that age.
I don't know about that. I think he is ready.
Tonight.
Yeah, he's ready.
But he's not going to do it when she's drunk.
That's true.
That's what he's he's being the chivalrous.
Right. While at the same time he's not being so forceful that he won't allow her to strip him naked almost. Like he's just kind of like, oh God, he doesn't want to piss her off, but he also doesn't want to take advantage of her. So it's just so great to see him work his magic, if you will, to not. Yes.
In the end,
it's a great line.
In the end, it pays off because they had a nice ending at the mall, and she respected him and thanked him for it. And
because at the time, I don't think you said. I mean, she's pissed. Like she doesn't understand why he's doing that, and it makes her upset. But she sobers up, and it all works out as it should.
Well, because she's being rejected in the moment. You're very vulnerable. At that.
And we learned the boys have been building up to this too, but we learned that. I mean, she is like planning. I mean. She's been planning for this herself, and this is the night she's going to do it. So it's a big deal then to not be able to do it.
Yeah. And if all goes well, they'll have to go back to the mall the next day to get a new comforter because, maybe something will happen in the new one.
Wow.
Hope I didn't ruin your roommate's robe.
Pete, do you have another favorite scene?
I think we actually pretty much covered everything that I had.
I had so you always ask for favorite lines too, and that I had the one, but I have one other one, actually maybe two.
Go ahead.
My other favorite line is pretty early on when McLovin has that vest on, and he says, "Take off your vest. You look like Aladdin." Right. That made me laugh. That was a really good one.
Yes. I always liked Emma Stone's line when she gets headbutted, and just how angry she is and confused when she just goes, "What the fuck?"
It's the delivery again there too.
It is. It's a great delivery. She kind of stumbles away from him, holding her eye, and he's passed out on the ground.
The other one that I didn't actually write this one as a for sure, but I do like when somebody, I think it's McLovin, asks the cop, "What's it like having guns?" I don't remember which was it. Seth Rogen says it's like having two cocks. But see, now that's funny because it makes sense in its own way.
Sure. Well, and I like the part at the very end where they lit the car on fire because they have to cover up all the damage they've done throughout the night. And they allow McLovin to shoot the gun, and he takes one shot and then immediately goes into gangster mode. And I think he empties the clip yelling, "Break yourself, fool!" Like, it's just so ridiculous, but he's awesome at it. One of the other lines that I had was from the very first scene of the movie when Seth is trying to figure out what porn site he's going to subscribe to.
Big decision.
Yes, it's a huge decision. And Evan is kind of getting disturbed by the types of porn that Seth likes to watch.
Yeah.
And Seth's line here is, "I'm sorry the Coen brothers don't direct the porn I like."
That's pretty good too. Well, that's part of that opening part too, where there's a lot of good lines in that opening part before you get annoyed by Jonah Hill. It's just so rapid fire and it's so dirty that it's impossible to keep track of. But that's a good one.
Ridiculously dirty. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got as far as scenes and lines. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
No, that's it.
I think I'm pretty good.
I hope it's kind of like Dave not liking European Vacation. I hope I at least made my point in some way.
No.
Yep. For the record, Dave loves European Vacation.
Oh yeah, right.
The rest of us do
got
not.
totally wrong.
It's
Dave
not
arguing
in
with
that
his
league.
Vacation,
Right. You're not that far off base, Brad.
which is insanity. And if you think I'm
Ridiculously off base.
go ahead. I don't care.
All
Actually,
right.
talking about it here made me like it more and made me think some of the funny parts were funnier than when I watched it.
You're going to go back and rewatch it.
No, I'm
enjoy it.
probably never gonna watch it again at this point. I mean, I hadn't watched it in 15 years, so.
Pete, Brad honestly thinks this movie is super bad.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
No, not quite that far. So
I love comedy. We're going to talk about these comedies now, and there's so many, and for me, it's subjective. It just does not hit me the way that it does a lot of other people.
Well, and let's list off. We're gonna draft the top comedies between 2000 and 2009. So
yes,
when we were doing 2001, we drafted our top teen comedies from this decade, but we're going to open it up to all comedies from this decade. So we're going to draft these off. I'm going to go first,
and there's no shortage to choose from here.
Followed by Brad, and then Pete will round it out. So there's so many great ones. I have so many written down and then highlighted. I think I'm going to start with a movie from 2001, and we covered it on this podcast.
Oh, you're taking it off the bat?
And that is not another teen movie. It combines two things that I love, all the teen comedies along with spoof movies. So I'm going to take that one.
I'm glad. I'm actually surprised you took it very first overall, but I love that you did.
Well, there's so many great ones. There, you're going to end up with 5, bangers no matter what.
I have personally a top 3 that are separated from the rest for me, so we'll see if they work out that way or not.
Well, you get one of them.
I'm going to get one right now, and to keep with the theme of what we've talked about on the show, if I'm going to talk about it the way I did, I got to go Walk Hard at number 1.
Yep.
Because I don't think any of them make me laugh more than that one.
Now, you want to talk about unrealistic comedy.
Not really, because it follows those storylines beautifully. That's the brilliance of it.
Yes, and I remember dancing along to all the midget tributes songs.
All right, I'm going to go with this one just because I want to say the title.
Yeah.
Borat: Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit of Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan.
Yes, I have that one written down.
Wow.
All right. Oh, crap. Well, I'm going to go just 1 year later in 2002, and I'm going to go with Super Troopers.
Okay. I'm going to go with, again, the theme of movies we have discussed on this show. And if you're a new listener, go back and listen to this one too. In December, we did I Love You Man with Paul Rudd and Jason Segel. One of the funniest and greatest romantic comedies ever.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even write either of those two down that you've picked, Brad, because I was not going to take...
You weren't going to snipe them from me?
I was not. Those mean so much to you that I was like, nope. Brad gets
I got
those.
one more that I want, so...
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Pete.
I'm going to go with Napoleon Dynamite.
Ooh, that was one of my... It wasn't my third, but it was probably my fourth.
Very good.
2004, according to my note.
All right, I'm going to skip to the end of the decade. I'm going to take The Hangover from 2009.
Okay. So I'm getting my top three here. I think another one of the most underrated comedies of the 2000s. And I know a lot of people agree with me on this one because I've seen them out there on the socials. Another Jason Segel movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Nope.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. All right.
So good.
Is Anchorman still available?
It sure is.
Anchorman
is off the board. Okay, I am going to go. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. I'm going dodgeball. My fourth pick from 04.
A true underdog story.
It is.
Yeah, you got to say the full name, full title. If I had to say it for Borat, then you got to say it.
You didn't say it for Anchorman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Jesus, Pete, you suck.
The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
I also picked Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
All right, my fourth pick. I'm going to go with another movie we talked about on this podcast, and that is the movie Elf.
Yeah.
Maybe finest performance.
I was going to take that as my number 5. I didn't think it would go that quickly, but I'm glad it went. I'm going to go with Old School.
Oh, Pete, that was my next pick. You're my boy, Blue.
You only got one left, Gif.
Boy,
there's a lot left here. This is crazy.
There are so many. Well, it's an entire decade for crying out loud.
You haven't even picked Superbad.
Nope. And I'm not gonna.
Wow. Vindicating me.
All right. I have got 3 highlighted here.
And the listeners are anxiously awaiting your
I am going to
choice.
go with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Wow, that's an off-the-board one that I didn't expect.
That's a little sleeper pick.
Again,
a sneaky favorite.
Everything that comes out of Clooney's mouth in that movie is pure gold.
All right.
I got 2 that came out, I believe, in the same year. I don't know which one to pick. But if I was going to put one in and watch it right now, I think I would pick Wedding Crashers.
There you go.
Will Ferrell
you make me want to shout, Ma! The meatloaf!
Although, yeah, okay, I'm not even going to get into it. Not a huge fan of that ending part there.
I gotta pick. Man, there's
what is the last choice, Pete? You have so many to pick from.
Talladega Nights.
Yeah. You have to read the rest of the
Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
There you go.
Ricky Bobby. Are you talking from Ellis and Die Hard? Hans, Bubby.
So
I got like 10 more listed yet here.
Can we just count up the Will Ferrell movies that were picked? Elf, Old School, Wedding Crashers, Anchorman, Talladega Nights.
What's that, 6?
Yeah.
So I had, if you want to go first, Gif, what were your others?
Oh my God. Well,
where do you want to go last?
The highlights at least. Van Wilder, Road Trip.
Road Trip we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Euro Trip is pretty good. Scotty doesn't know. I'm always a big fan of Stuck on You. I've talked about Waiting many times on this program. Best in Show, Step Brothers, another.
That's pretty. I mean, I wouldn't put it in my top, but that movie is so beloved that people listening to this are going to be like, "How did I not pick Step Brothers?"
Yep. I got a couple more
That's
with
what
Jay
that's
and
what our
Silent
listeners
Bob.
sound like too. Hey, how do they not pick Step Brothers?
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh my God, I don't have that one on my list. That's a great choice.
Yeah, that's a huge one. So that's a few that I had in there.
All right, my other.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, if I didn't pick Wedding Crashers, I would have picked The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Mm-hmm.
That was a surprise no-go too there. Team America, I've mentioned.
Yeah.
One that's not maybe as funny, but it's still a comedy is Little Miss Sunshine, because it's just a great movie. School of Rock could easily be on my list.
I thought you were going to pick that one. I didn't write that one down either because I figured that was going on yours.
Knocked Up didn't make a list.
Yep.
Role Models is a great one. Meet the Parents didn't get picked.
Yep.
Bruce Almighty. And we had mentioned before, Zach and Miri Make a Porno. I like that movie too.
Yeah. Not enough nudity in it for me based on the title.
A big one that I don't think you have mentioned that I was actually going to pick, Juno, another Michael Cera classic.
Came out the same year as this one.
I guess I'd probably count that one as less of a comedy, but it is still funny.
It's funny and it works. That really rounds it out, just because you said Team America, which would have been another great pick. Zoolander.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah. Was that Zoolander? Wasn't okay.
Or was that like 99?
I had
Zoolander might not have been
2001. I had.
Yeah, it's 2001.
I guess I didn't even come across that.
Just like because I have
Silent Bob.
Just because I have it written down in a particular year doesn't mean it actually came out in that year.
I want to make my honorable mention pick Jay and
good.
Silent Bob Strike Back.
Okay.
All right. My honorable mention is Juno then.
Okay, Giff, what's yours?
That'd be a good one.
Oh man, this might take two. I'm gonna go with Waiting. I really like that movie. Ryan Reynolds, Justin Long. Just a fun little time at shenanigans.
Pete, just to confirm, Zoolander did come out in 2001, so you were right this time.
I got it right.
This time. My mother hung me on a hook once. Once.
Oh, man. Well, I think I've about had it for this yearbook. I'm going to close it up.
Close the yearbook.
Yeah. What are we starting with next month? Want to give a little tease?
Well, next month we're going to be doing, so next month is July. And if you've listened to this show, we like to go off the board in July and do something special. Mm-hmm. So 2 years ago, we did a vacation theme, and we did all 4 vacation movies. Last year, we did a staycation theme that Gifford came up with, and we talked about Minnesota stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it works out well because I picked vacation, and this year Pete came up with the idea for Second Chance Month, where we all go back and pick something from a month we've already discussed, but something that we didn't get to pick at that time.
Or
that
a year we've already discussed. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, a year. So like we've talked about, for example, 1989. And my pick is from 1989, but we didn't talk about it.
Right. Mine's from 1994.
And tune in next week because we're going to have guests on, and they are from another podcast, and they are just wonderful and fantastic. And their show's better than ours, but
stop it.
It's good, and we're good too, I guess. But
this coming from a guy who hated Superbad.
We're excited to have them on. It's going to be a fun one next week.
Yes, it'll be awesome.
Kick it off.
For sure. Faux show.
Oh no, it's Preacher Row.
All right. Well, with that, we'll wrap up the year, and thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
2, 3. No one's here to comfort me. Sorry for what I have done. Sorry that your song is gone. 7 steps and it will be my last. And start to me on my back. I turn and I look to you. I'm scared but there's nothing I can do.